Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I've got mine. So listen, today is going to be an accountability video. Black people hate when I do accountability, community accountability videos, because let me tell you one thing that I have noticed about black people and accountability. Black people, we fucking hate accountability. We don't like accountability, and black people think that because of where we are on the caste system, like the lower you are on the patriarchy scale, the lower that you have been cast, the more entitled we feel to not be met with consequences. And that's why black people handle consequences as badly and as poorly as we do. Like, I can't hold black women accountable without being attacked by black women. I can't hold black men accountable without being attacked by black men. I can't hold the younger youth of black people accountable without being attacked by them. Black people fucking hate accountability. With that being said, I want to piggyback off of a comment that I got yesterday when I talked about specifically about how us older people obviously have failed our kids somewhere when it comes to, because too many of these young black men are being, seduced by Trump, for lack of a better way to put it. And why exactly is that so when we have the history that we have? And I talked about how we need to be holding people in our family accountable for not voting in general elections, not voting in state and local elections. But earlier in that video, I talked about trauma and how a lot of people do things that maybe appear strange to us or disrespectful because their trauma, they're being, is leading them. Hold on, let's get some lights back on this situation. Because they're being led by their trauma. And so someone made the point okay, you're saying led by trauma, and a lot of people don't like to talk about Jim Crow, and they don't like to talk about that because it was traumatic. Now, mind you, this is not me glossing over that, because I get it. And it's true. And they weren't wrong. They were not wrong. Tanya, I believe that was you that made that comment. You weren't wrong. But I feel like we need to have a broader discussion about this, because what I feel like you kind of did in that comment is, while you told the truth, it was kind of used to kind of escape accountability. Now, I'm going to use my own self as an example here. And I'm just going to tell her truths here, because I am very used to dealing and facing her truths. I've had 10 years of therapy. I got the backbone for it. I was very traumatized by my parents. I had a very traumatizing childhood. It caused me a lot of harm and a lot of damage. And as a result of that trauma my trauma leading me and my unhealed self, I ended up having children, and I repeated those cycles, a lot of those same cycles. And I traumatized my children. Now, we know that the trauma is the reason why it happened. That's just the reason why it happened. But it doesn't mean that I am not responsible for the harm that I caused my two sons. I'm 100% responsible for my actions. Doesn't matter if it was an unhealed, traumatized version of me raising my sons. Me not being woman enough to own that and to want to escape that accountability and to use the fact that my parents traumatized me as an excuse to not hold myself accountable, what kind of woman would I be? We cannot use our trauma or the things that happen to us as an excuse to not do the best possible job that we can by our own children, by the next generations. Once we start to heal and we realize the harm, it is up to us to do better, even if it's to the adult versions of our children. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. We don't get to say that because I'm traumatized or because I was traumatized that I'm not responsible for my actions or my inactions. That's not an excuse to not do better. Once we know how to do better, we should immediately start doing better. And with that being said, we have to hold difficult conversations with the younger generations in the Black community, because how else are they going to fucking heal? How else are they going to do better? They are out here voting for a racist. A whole ass racist who wants to give the police enough power to kill them on sight. And we can't use our trauma to not have those conversations with them, whether it's at the dinner table, whether it's at Thanksgiving, which we shouldn't be celebrating anyway, or whether it's during a family get together. We should be holding our nieces and nephews and cousins and sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers and sons and daughters and husbands and wives the fuck accountable. And that is our problem. We love to run around talking about how we is not our ancestors, which is so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. But you're right, though. We're not, because our ancestors had a backbone. Our ancestors built communities. Our ancestors built Black Wall Street. Our ancestors were in community with one another. Our ancestors networked. Our ancestors wanted to see each other do well and excel. Our ancestors had pride in their blackness. Our ancestors fought and died to vote because they knew how important it was. And we know this. We know it. We don't get to use our trauma as an excuse to not do our best by our children when we learn what better is. We must hold ourselves accountable as a community, as a people, as mothers and fathers and sons and daughters. We owe that to each other. Because not wanting to have hard discussions, look at where so many of our sons are. Look at what so many of our daughters are doing. Look at how many Black people how many Black family units have broken up because we don't want to deal with all that toxicity that we have turned inward. And then outward on the people that we say that we love the most. One thing about Black people, man, we are made of excuses. We got an excuse for, why our neighborhoods are what they are, why our families are what they are, what our kids are what they are, why we are what we are. We always got an excuse. And if nothing else fails, we can use our trauma, we can use racism, we can use white supremacy as an excuse to not hold ourselves accountable and be better. And we don't get to do that just because we're traumatized. Y'all have a good day.